6.2 Strategy Development and Deployment in NAC. It carries 10 marks. It carries 3 questions. 6.2.1 is about the strategic planning or the perspective planning. 6.2 is about policies, administrative setups, appointments, and 6.3 is about implementation of e-governance in areas. 6.2.1 is about, as I made a mention, is about perspective and strategic planning and its effective deployment. Now we are talking about those 5 years which are complete and the college is going for the process of NAC. So after completion of the first cycle and to the progression or to the completion of the second cycle, those 5 years are being counted out. Has the IQAC along with the college prepared a perspective plan? When a perspective plan is being prepared, it is not alone that the IQAC is going to prepare it, nor is it alone that the principal is going to prepare it. Any perspective plan is to be created along with the management of the organization. Primarily because the management is going to spend its resources, time and money on the organization. It is for this reason that the organization must know and the governance must know, the top governance must know in which areas are we going to contribute, and therefore IQAC is definitely involved in preparing the perspective plan. Principal is definitely involved in preparation of the perspective plan, but the management must be involved in preparation of the perspective plan. Then and then the perspective plan succeeds. Now, how to do a perspective plan? There are 2 ways by which perspective planning can be done. One is a traditional way. NAC has 7 criteria. In criteria 1, we are going to go for so and so. In criteria 2, so and so. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You list out the criteria, you list out the areas, you start working on them. Make a plan as to which a component is possibly going to be completed in which quarter of the year or in which part of the year. And in this way we can work it out. The second aspect happens to be really very fantastic. One of the colleges in Kolkata had come out with this perspective plan. I liked it very much. What they made a mention is that we are going to construct one building. The minute you say you are going to construct a building, the next part, why are we constructing a building? So that we can run some courses. What are the courses going to offer? The courses are going to offer some new education. It would mean that point number 1, new construction. Point number 2, along with construction, new classrooms. New classrooms, more infrastructure. More infrastructure, new courses. New courses, more teachers. More teachers, more infrastructure. More laboratories, more computers. And all this was quantified very fantastically. And therefore perspective planning can be put up in words in 2 ways, and it can be effectively achieved in these 2 ways. The organization needs to think as to how the perspective plan is to be written, and without a management support, no perspective plan should be created. I wish to share one view. I am onto one of the IQACs of one of the colleges. One of the members of the management asked a question to the IQAC, what is your 5-year plan? The IQAC coordinator was quiet because she could not say anything about it. Now, how do I convince them that the management needs to be a part of the perspective plan? So in that meeting I just made a mention saying that, sir, I was associated with one of the organizations in one of the MNCs in Pune. And when I was talking to the top level management, they said that this year we are going to prepare so many thousand television sets. That would mean that in the current month, something like 5,000 television sets are to be prepared. So the top level management guided the middle management that this month we want 5,000 television sets. After 2 months it is Diwali. The expected sale is going to be 20,000 television sets. So we need to see to it that 5,000 television sets are prepared in this year, 5,000 television sets are prepared the next month. And so by the end of the third month, when the Diwali is actually going to begin, by that time we will be in a position to put on the accelerator and see to it that another 6,000 television sets are prepared, and we have a surplus of 5,000 already in the market, so 20,000 television sets can be sold. Now what did the middle level management take the message? If 5,000 is the target that has been told to me, it would mean that I must instruct the lower level management to see to it that 8,000 television sets are prepared. Now why 8,000 television sets? Because they know that the middle level management, when it is going to stress upon the lower level management, there is going to be some problem. There were some labor related issues and many more things to go on. So 5,000, by the time it reached the table where the television sets are being prepared, it was 9,000. Looking at the structure of the organization, looking at the thought process that the organization has, the targets of the higher level management were achieved by the lowest level of management by creating 6,000 television sets per month. Now here the vision, the mission, the thought process, everything starts counting out. And therefore the role of management really plays a very big role. Because when the people from the management and people from the organization are going to set up targets, they know their people very well. And therefore a perspective plan must be prepared with the help of all the stakeholders. The second aspect is, what is it that we want that needs to be analyzed first? What kind of courses are needed in the market? What kind of types do we need to go for? There are some ITIs for example in Pune, which are associated with one of the motorcycle companies. They have made a mention saying that now this ITI will be working to see to it that the motorcycle companies work better. So we will be training our people in this particular aspect. And therefore, this kind of association is going to give a better advantage to the student later on, which needs to be considered in the perspective plan. And therefore, perspective plan is a very important step. It must be done, it must be followed, it must be broken down into steps: first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and the final year, so that it is represented very well. We go to the next aspect of strategic development and deployment, and that happens to be, how does the organization work? The functioning of the institutional bodies is effective and efficient as visible from the policies, administrative setup, appointments, service rules, procedure, etc. Some time ago, we have made a mention, that is in 6.1, we have made a mention about how the work is getting distributed and how the leadership is participative kind of leadership that you are able to see. The second part is that it's not only that the work gets distributed, what kind of policies do you have? They really matter. The policies need to be written down on paper. I wish to give you an example of a college called as Parle Tidak Mahavidyalaya MBA college. I was talking to the director over there with them, and I made a mention saying that how is the policy over there? He gave me the brief information about it, and later on he added, just a minute, let me look into my policy manual. Now this makes a very big impact. Whenever anything is to be done, they first refer their policy manual. If admission process is to take place, what does the policy manual speak out? What is our policy? So you are able to see the policy is first mentioned out. Once you have mentioned the policy, then come the next step known as the processes. For example, when we are talking about a college, the policies would be for admission. There will be a policy statement for the admission. The policy statement for the admission could be admission to every eligible student. Now admission to every student is not going to be a point, but admission to every eligible student is going to make a big difference. The policy of eligibility comes in over there. So then those become the processes. So what is the eligibility for an art student? What is the eligibility for a science student? What is the eligibility for a commerce student? At what level are we going to induct the student? What kind of student are we going to induct? What should be his academic performance? What is it that we expect from him? This becomes a part of the processes. So policies to processes. Processes to procedures or standard operating processes, procedures, that is called as SOPs. SOPs will be taken care at the ground level. How to take that admission? Where should the student go? How will he fill up the form? Where will the form be available? Where is the prospectus available? What is the cost of the prospectus? How to get the prospectus? How to fill up the form? Where will that form be deposited? How will the fees be paid? If they are to be paid online, what is to be done after the payment of online fees? From which deposited out? Then in that case, you are able to see all these happen to be the procedures. So, point number 1, policies. Point number 2, policies lead to processes. Processes lead to procedures and standard operating procedures, that is SOPs. This is the chain for policies. There is one more aspect that I need to make a mention. When a policy is prepared, it needs to be reviewed again and again after a specific periodic time. That time could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, till you come to a point saying that now no big changes can come into these policies and these processes. When no changes are going to come into those policies and processes, that policy has been standardized. Standardization of a policy is known as benchmarking. So when we talk our admission process is a benchmarked process, it would mean that no big changes are going to come into it. Changes can take place in the procedural part, but changes will not take place in the process parts. And more the number of benchmarks, better is the organization. And therefore, quality of the organization is decided by the number of benchmarks that are created. Trust me, the policies should be written down by IQAC. And IQAC is everybody's business. Everybody contributes to quality, and therefore the policies, processes and procedures should be written down by the people who work in the organization. This is where you are able to see the strategy, development and deployment comes. Besides this, we need to have a good administrative setup. There also the policies need to be written down. The work allocation should be prim and proper. Appointment, service rules as per the government procedures and processes needs to be followed out. That gives the organization a better edge, and therefore the functioning of the institution becomes good if everything is on paper, and therefore this is the next aspect of development and deployment. We come to the next aspect called as the implementation of e-governance. This is 6.2.3. There are three questions. The first one was about perspective plan. The second one was about policies, and the third one is about the implementation of e-governance. In the past 2 decades, e-governance in India has really improved out. But if we look into the current situation, even today, a very big area of education sector is still disordered. There is a disordered education system, there is lack of infrastructure, syllabi are obsolete, governance is scattered, funds are inappropriate, qualified staff is still the need of the hour, there is high dropout rate, unemployment is high, monitoring is poor, evaluation is poor, and there is no industry policy that you are able to see. In this case, governance with the help of technology is one way by which we can perhaps cover some of these areas. Taking the help of the technology to see to it that the governance improves. And therefore, NAC expects governance at least in these following areas. Number 1, administrative governance. Number 2, finance and accounts. Number 3, student admission and student support. Number 4, examination. All these processes need to be technology supported, because they deal in large numbers. When you say admission process, it could be a few thousand students who are going to get admitted at one time. I wish to make a mention of Sant Gadge Maharaj College, which is at the place called Pahade near Satara. The college has a strength of 13,000 students, at least 180 programs and another 200 courses to go on. Now this admission process is very robust. It cannot go on without technology. Be it a small organization or a big organization, technological support really plays a very big role. And therefore, we need to have management information system to see to it that, or the ERP softwares to see to it that the admission process takes place properly, the examination processes go on very smoothly, or for that matter, the salaries to be drawn where finance and accounts is going to play a very important role, or for that matter, the student support systems. All these need to be technologically superior, and it is for this reason implementation of e-governance really plays a very, very important role in the pattern of governance, and it becomes a part of the strategy, development and deployment for the organization. So here we complete 6.2, which is strategy, development and deployment. Thank you.